Hey, Karen Bonofiglio, Inner Realms, Outer Journeys. Welcome to the channel, welcome to the show, and welcome to Chelsea. So good to have you back again, my friend.
Glad to be back. Thanks for the invite.
Oh gosh, you know you got carte blanche with this channel. Thoroughly enjoy you. Seriously. So those of you that don't know Chelsea, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you. My name's Chelsea Anderson. So I am a psychic medium, numerologist, life coach. You name it, I can probably do it. That's why I love my little subtitle here of Jill of all trades, because it is really fitting. I tell folks that I will always be a practicing medium until the day that I go, because there's always learning to be done. There's always growth to be done, especially in the realm of kind of mediumship and spirituality. And so I've been doing this. I'm going into my 17th year of seeing clients. So I'm really excited to be on tonight and take some questions live. So we'll be pumped to see kind of what comes through today.
Okay, so you're going to be taking live questions. So I think that's fabulous. And then we got a special treat at the end of it too. And we'll kind of save that and you can tell about that. And we got a couple little things going on that might interest everyone. So let's see, do we have any? Thank you for checking in. We got Nadine, who's really Nadine, not Michael there. And Cindy, greetings from Michigan. And I saw there was Mitchie from Hawaii. Oh, and Mystic Maven, welcome to the channel. Glad you're here. And if you guys don't ask questions, I'm going to ask mine. And so I suggest you ask your questions, because this show is not about me. This show is about you and what you want to know. So do you want to know about love? Do you want to know about money? Do you want to know about your journey? What's going to happen in 2026? What's on your mind? I don't know.
And here's the thing is, all questions are welcome. I don't even mind if they're like metaphysical based, like, what's your weirdest story or what's your wildest experience in a reading or anything like that. So it doesn't have to be necessarily be for reading. If you do stay tuned to the end of the show, I will be giving a numerology forecast to everybody just to kind of talk about some of the big things coming up for folks. And I'll also kind of focus in on a few different specific life paths. They're going to have some big changes next year, as well as some astrology signs that can anticipate big changes and good stuff next year. So all sorts of things to look forward to today, but I'm definitely excited to take questions. I always love kind of these on the fly type interviews and podcasts. So we'll kind of see what happens. I'm excited.
Oh, I hope that I have some big changes. I hope my numerology sign falls in there. So we're going to find that out. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to ask you, Chelsea, tell me a really good story while people are getting their questions ready. And hi, Deanna, and hi, everybody that's here. Oh, we do have a question from, it's really Nadine, not Michael. Oh, well, she'd like you to check into her guides and what's going on with her left knee. And so good to see her, Chelsea. She's one of your big fans too. You know that.
I do. So, and I'm a big grateful fan of hers. So very appreciative. Here's the thing. It's interesting because normally when I get asked a health related question, I will get either two things. I will either kind of be pulled to, well, let me back up. When I do a body scan and folks want to have a question about a physical ailment, I will see three colors. I will either see pink, which just means the area is irritated. There's maybe some kind of concern, but maybe nothing dire, detrimental. Red means there's some big issues, probably go get seen sooner rather than later. Black to me signifies you're dying, go to the ER yesterday, right? when I tune into it though, and I don't see a color, or if I see pink, but then I see green mixed in with anything, it usually means that there's something you're physically carrying that might be a little more spiritual based. So kind of like that whole mind, body, spirit thing, right? So for example, for me, I find that sometimes when I'm too stressed out, or I've got too much going on in my world, that like I'll start to have shoulder issues. And shoulder, it's because I'm carrying too much. And as soon as I start letting stuff go, then I find that I'm okay. What's interesting is when I'm tuning into the left knee, even though I would feel, Nadine, that you would be right-handed or dominant onto your right leg. Again, you can tell me if I'm wrong about that. But I feel that the left side is a side that we're not paying attention to and we're neglecting, but it's because it's something that isn't dominating in your life. So meaning that if there's things that you've been putting off, tasks, stresses, and we've been putting things off, to me, when I get pain in a non-dominant side, it means things that are not in your priority list, or things that maybe aren't as high priority or as dominant in your life, are something that we need to pay attention to. So I would say, look at some of the things you've got going on in your life right now that maybe you've put on the back burner or we've been putting off for a while, and bring it to the forefront, deal with it, and then let it go. I'm not saying there isn't something physically wrong with your knee as well, but to me, the first thing I tuned into was that there's actually something that's really kind of going on in your general life, but it's exhibiting in pain through your knee. So just kind of be aware of that. And if you can find little things that you can kind of pull into your everyday right now and go, oh, you know what? I've been putting this chore off, or I've been putting this off. I tend to find that makes a little bit of difference. So I'd be curious to see if you had any alleviation in your knee pain by kind of dealing with some stuff that we've put off for a while, if that makes sense.
I'm sure glad you didn't see any black in her knee. So
no,
that's a good.
No black. No, the only time I've only seen black in a couple readings, and that was where both times it was cancer was present, and they were able to get it diagnosed and get it dealt with very, very quickly. So it's happened before, but yeah, I don't like to see black.
No,
thank you, Nadine. I sure try. Keep me posted.
She is amazing, isn't it? Isn't she? She truly is. Okay, so who else do we have here? Okay. I'm not sure I should look. Okay. I don't know how to. Okay. Mystic May. Okay. Here we go.
So
okay, Kelly.
Okay. So what's going on here?
Mystic Maven would like to know what 2026 holds for her in the realm of romance.
Okay. So I feel like I'm going to give away a little bit of my forecast later. So I'm going to do a light answer here, but encourage you to stick around, because depending on your astrology sign or your life path sign, it may have a bigger influence for next year. Okay. But what I usually tell people, so next year going into numerology, so let me give a little bit of a background on what numerology is. So numerology is essentially the study that kind of combines your date of birth along with your name. And then each letter in your name is assigned a numerological value. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, et cetera, et cetera. You take all of those letters and then you add up the numbers, and you keep adding the numbers until you get a single digit, right? So let's say all your numbers in your name added up to 50. 5 plus 2 equals 7. There's your single digit, right? I don't clearly have time to build a chart right now, but what I can usually tell folks for a 1 year, specifically with relationships, is if you are in a place where you're already in a romantic relationship, this is usually a year we need to either quantify or clarify expectations and our communication. 1 years are really big, not as big as a 3 year, but a 1 year is really big for making sure we have that clarity. So if you are still in a relationship, it would be pay attention to how your partner is communicating. If you're not understanding them, you may need to ask for clarity as opposed to making assumptions, because then we can jump to conclusions we don't want to. Now, for people who are single going into 2026, this is a good year about fresh starts. I can't tell you, by the time we were in like March or April of this current year, 2025 being a 9 year, it's a year of endings, conclusions, conclusions, finalities, closing doors so that we're not going forward into next year and dragging all this junk with us. I had more divorces and breakups come across my path with clients by like March of this year. It was insane. I'd already encountered almost like 20 at least in just a few months. And since then, it's just been extrapolated. So I found that this year was a lot of people who got fired, who lost their jobs, lost their partners, lost their pets, like a lot of loss this year. And I hate to say that's to be expected, but it's kind of to be expected in a 9-year. But a lot of these losses, and here's what I tell people, right, is not necessarily loss of a loved one, but maybe loss of a job. So I had an individual who reached out to me about a month and a half ago, randomly got fired from her job, had no idea that it was coming, nothing, right? Calls me and she's like, I'm just distraught and I'm just, or text me, I'm upset. And I said, listen, 2 weeks from now, you're going to be thrilled that you lost this job. And I was like, because next year's a 1 year, you need to be setting yourself up to let go of crap that's not working. You didn't like your boss, you didn't like your job, and you didn't feel like it was a good fit. And, of course, she's still upset. And I said, listen, everything happens for a reason. You just got to give spirit the grace to be able to show you why you had to leave this situation. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, gets hired at a better job, making better money, and it's a more positive experience for her. And she was like, you're right. Literally 2 weeks later. And so that's where I tell people, like, yes, we have tragedy and we have loss and we have all these things that happen to us. And we have to give spirit and the universe, God, whatever we want to call it, we have to give them the grace and the time to let that come full circle so that we can go, that's why I had to go through that. That's why I had to experience that loss or what have you. So that's where I tell people this year, if we've had a lot of loss or we had a breakup and we're going into next year and looking for romance, next year as a single person can be a great opportunity for a new start, a clean slate. But I also told people maybe this year you got out of a really heavy, nasty relationship. Next year's also a good year for some eat, pray, love. Focus on you, right? Because being a 1 year, it's all about being self-reliant, self-starter. So I don't want to go into it too much because I'm going to go into this much later and kind of give a bigger overarching forecast for folks. But this is a good opportunity for you to do some self-care and work on you going into dating or making some changes in a current relationship that you're already in surrounding independence and authenticity and communication. So if you feel like any of those things have been lacking in a relationship, you want to make sure to make changes with those.
Well, Mystic Maven, that sounds really interesting for you. I know her. That's why I'm saying that. Chelsea, when you say out of your name, are you just talking your first name or your whole entire name to get your number?
What do you mean? Oh, sorry, for your name. I thought you book a reading. I was like, well, people don't need to know my whole name but wow. Okay. Whew, we were not on the same page there. No. So when you do a numerology reading, you have to have your entire name that was on your birth certificate. So even if you were adopted, if you had a legal birth certificate and you were John Doe, then your numerology should be on John Doe. If you get married now, so when I work with clients who want a full chart and they're married, I'll ask them if you want your married name, or they call it your current name number in your numerology. And so I'll ask people if they want it. So it can be helpful in a reading because sometimes people can get married. Females will change their last name, or I guess anyone could change their last name. They'll change it. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is they're like, I never had any problems with money. And then all of a sudden I changed and I had issues with money. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you were an 8 life path your whole life. And then all of a sudden you get married and now your number changed to a 5. And so you're going to have a lot more chaos and it's going to be harder for you to create stable money. So it's little things like that where I tell people like absolutely changing your name can have a big, huge difference on kind of your life and your trajectory and things of that nature. But when you do an actual chart, it has to be the exact name that's on your birth certificate, even one letter off. So that's why I have to be very picky more of a perfectionist when I do a chart, because if I do one letter wrong, it will completely throw off the whole chart. That whole house of cards will crash.
We don't want that to happen. Okay, that's good to know. And thank you, everybody, for saying hello and everything. Let's take another question. Okay. I don't know how. I apologize. I'm not sure how to say the name. Maurice, is that your name? Okay, here's Charlene. She's a medium and has never sat in a circle, etc. But because I feel I don't need to. I'm seeing faces all the time. What do you feel this means?
I like this question. So here's the deal. I kind of jokingly refer to myself as a grassroots medium. I know a lot of mediums where they're like, I figured out that this was my thing and I met with this person and I went and trained with this person and I took 18 certifications and I went and did this, right? I jokingly, you want to know what my mentoring was? I sat down and I started watching Long Island Medium, and I would put the show on and I would hit play. And as soon as she would have guests come on, I would hit pause and I would go, okay, these are their guests. And I would just ask Spirit, tell me what I need to know about these guests and about their loved one. And I would sit there and just write notes. And then I would see what I matched with what Teresa could do. That was literally my mentoring. So when I say I'm grassroots, cool. I've really just kind of done this on my own. Now, later on in my career, so I have mentored, but like the first 10 years of my development was really me just kind of reading, researching, and then I was part of a ghost hunting group. I personally, where I'm going with this, Charlene, she's probably like, shut up and get to the point. To your question, I don't sit in a lot of circles, and it's not necessarily because I don't think I need it. I see value in it, but where I see value is when I'm with other people who align with my energy. Right? Because to me, I feel like if I go and sit in a circle and I've got someone over here that's like just full of ego and just themselves, and they're not really doing this to be of service to spirit, they're here because they want some feeling of grandiosity, right? That's not going to align with my energy. I do this of service and to help people, right? So I think there's benefits to sitting with a circle, but I could certainly understand why someone wouldn't want to. I don't sit in a lot of circles, and when I do, I am very, very picky. Who, when, where, the circumstances. As far as to your question, yeah. So when you see like your ancestors or when you see things like that, to me, that's just spirit trying to communicate. I've found that sometimes I'll get flashes or faces or pictures, but then I won't get any other context. I won't get any other information. I usually tell folks, if you're just seeing a picture and that's it, it's probably just someone kind of reassuring you that they're around, especially if it's an ancestor. For me, when I get flashes, images, things of that nature where it's not connected to me, where I know I'm like, I've never seen that face, or I don't have any connection to a memory about that, then that's when I know it's spirit probably trying to get my attention. But I'll just let spirit know, like, look, unless you give me like a name, a phone number, someone to give a call, right? I can't be of help. Yeah, I've had this as well since I was a kid, Charlene. I had more experiences when I was younger seeing my family members. I don't as much anymore. And maybe because I shifted kind of my work and my intention. And maybe that's kind of what you're being drawn towards or pushed towards is, if you have a sensitivity, do something with it, right? Because to your point, you said you're a medium, but a medium to me can be someone out seeing clients every day. A medium could also be, I know how to do this, but I choose not to do anything with it. I keep it for myself. There's a huge spectrum out there with folks, but no, I think that seeing the faces is just spirit's way of just trying to connect. That's my opinion. And that's based solely on my experiences, my research and reading. So you may hear a very different answer from somebody else. That's just my personal experience. Perfect. Yeah. Good. That makes sense.
You got a lot of experience behind you. I learned something new about you, how you started with Teresa Caputo. So long ago.
Very, very long. I remember when the show came on and I was pregnant with my kiddo, and I just remember sitting there watching it and I was like, I can do this. I know I can do it. I just don't understand the how. And so I would just watch her show, and I watched how she would deliver messages and literally like her approach and everything. So that's why when people meet with me, like my style, I'm not like her by any means. I'm not worthy. Right. But no, that's limiting belief. I am worthy, but I digress. But no, when I would watch it, I was just like, I know how to do that. And it really just kind of took the time of how do I hone this? And then how do I come up with the delivery? Because every medium delivers messages in different ways. You are so welcome, Charlene. I'm glad that makes sense. Yay. Excellent.
Okay. Well, you're doing awesome, my friend. And I think people are really enjoying your answers too. I agree, Alexa. She's the best. Don't tell anybody I said that.
Your secret's safe with me.
Okay, Geraldine would love to connect with Spirit Family, missed more than ever.
So Here's the thing. I don't mind doing a quick mediumship reading, but if I'm going to do it in the capacity of online just for flow and time, I'd want to go, hey, what does dad want to hear from me, or what does sister? So I don't mind coming back to Geraldine, but I would say I would want it to be like, my friend JJ coins it drive-through mediumship. And it's like my favorite phrase ever, because it's kind of like, hey, like I'd like the Big Mac with a side of fries and Diet Coke, right? I'm happy to answer a question if someone has a specific family member they want to connect with.
Oh, specific.
Yep.
Okay. So that
would be like, want to hear from sister, want to hear from dad. Like, and I tend to find too, that if I throw something out there, sometimes I don't mind reading that way, where I'm like, there's a mother energy coming through and she passed from this and da-da-da. Sometimes that's kind of fun to do as well. Hello, Canada. Hello, Norway. Welcome.
Yeah. And good to see you from all over, which is really nice. Okay. She could really use a message from spirit. Oops, she went away, to help me hold on and keep going in 2026.
Okay. So I don't know if your name is pronounced Aylin, but that's just kind of what I'm going to go with. So if I call you by something incorrectly, please tell me. One of the things that when I looked at, because usually if I just see someone's name, that's enough for me to connect. Some mediums need to touch something or know a date of birth or something like that. Usually just hearing someone's name helps me. So what's interesting is when I tune into your energy, I keep feeling like this last, and I'm not going to say year, I keep being like 2 to 3 years. Feels like it's felt like 3 steps forward and like 10 steps back. So if you feel like the last couple of years have been like where you're just walking through quicksand, or you just feel like you're trying to make forward progress, but we're not getting there, there's a reason for that. I also feel like I keep seeing my sign for like timing issues with you. And so to me, timing's everything, right? There's certain times where we don't have what we need. And so we wish that we could have it. But I will also find that sometimes when we're trying to get down our path or do the things that we need to, we're like, I want this to happen now. But in reality, it wouldn't benefit you to have it happen now. It needs to happen 6 months, a year, 5 years, right? So it's one of the things I keep hearing. So if you do feel like you're kind of being drugged through the mud lately, or to where we're not able to kind of be as successful as we want, or to where things just aren't lining up for us, I really feel like coming up next year, especially the first 6 months of the year, is where I kind of am being pulled to for you, is to just be aware of the fact that you've got good things coming, but it was a timing issue. There's a reason why we've kind of felt like we've been held back. I'll say one more thing on the heels of this is you also have a lot of self-doubt, whether it's you tell yourself you can't do things, or maybe in your childhood, or maybe you were told by other people, your friends, peers, that you couldn't do something. But I keep feeling like there's almost this hesitation of like, I want to do it, but I'm scared to. I want to move forward, but I don't know how. And so I'm being told, don't worry about your limiting beliefs, push forward and make it happen.
Okay, very nice. And the way Chelsea's talking to you, that's how she does a reading. Bam, 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 bam. Pretty much the whole time.
I talk fast.
No,
I don't mean to. I wish. But listen, I blame spirit because they talk even faster than I do. I'm just trying to keep up with them. So
yeah, no, you are locked and loaded. Tiffany would love to hear from her dad, who has gone behind the veil, who has passed.
Okay, so first, okay. So Tiffany, thank you for his name. I don't necessarily need that. Dad would have been totally fine. I do have to ask though, is that would we understand where he would have either passed before his time, or he would have thought he should have had more time? Because immediately with him, I was taken to the watch, which is just my sign for like, should have had more time. I don't feel, and his energy does not come across to me as an older male. I also feel, like I said, either his passing would have been tied to something that would have been a tragic passing, or something that would have been unexpected in nature. But there's just the lack of preparation is one of the things that I feel around the situation. So again, tell me your comment if this makes sense. The other thing too is that he does allude to that there would have been an anniversary, birthday, or holiday around the time he passed. And so for me, when spirit taps the calendar twice, it means I passed either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after. And it'd be something celebratory in nature that would be positive. So it'd be like someone's birthday, and then he passed right after, or passed just before, anniversary, holiday, something of that. Okay. The other thing too with him though is that I do feel that there would be the pressure on the chest. So I know he would have had the breathing issue in the end, but I am not sure that's what he passed from. This feels to me more like this was a symptom that I would have had, as opposed to this was what took me, if that makes sense. He does also allude to there would have been several health challenges going on at the same time. So either this would have impacted multiple body parts or something of that nature. So the birthday of your sister, he passed away. Perfect. Okay. Because he just made me feel like he reigned on a parade, and that normally it'd be a time of celebration, but instead at the time of his passing, it was something that was tragic or sad in nature. So if your sister be receptive to a message, please pass along to her that he's sorry for reigning on that parade. Not that she's mad at him or anything like that. He knows that, but he just wants to make sure that she knows that as well. He would also allude to that there is now, I hate this at the holidays, but I'm going to say it anyways, is that he does make me feel like either certain traditions went away after he passed, or we lost the spark of certain traditions, or something where either the family dynamic would have not shifted after his passing, but certain things that were important became less important, if that makes sense. And so I don't know if that would make sense or you would understand, but he's talking about reevaluating. Oh, perfect. Several health problems. Okay. He also talks about reevaluating what's important in life. And I'm going to be careful how I say this. Sometimes reevaluating can mean putting more importance on something that we've cast aside. Sometimes it can also mean putting less importance on something that's too heavy for us. Okay, family broke apart. Makes sense. Here's the thing. I think the reason he's bringing this up, so please take this message and pass it along to anyone who would benefit, including, obviously yourself, other family members and loved ones, is that he understands that the family fell apart. He's bringing this forward because some people worry, like, is he mad that the family fell apart? Are they worried? He just wants to make sure that because I do feel like, and I'm going to say this very gently, is sometimes we can have bad players in the family, right? Bad players on the team where either they're negative or they're whatever. I do feel like there might be some funky players that are involved in the family, and meaning that it's probably better to let that relationship go or to continue to have distance. He wouldn't bring it up if that wasn't important. So just kind of keep in mind that if you feel that there's relationships in your life with family members that aren't healthy, that aren't working for you, he's just giving you the permission to walk away from that if it's in your best interest. Fair enough?
That's perfect.
Hope that makes sense.
That seems to happen sometimes when the matriarch, the patriarch passes, that the family does disband and have problems.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty common. Unfortunately, I hear about it a lot.
Yeah. Well, it happened with my family, so I can understand. Okay. Oh, she's sending you some love.
Welcome. My pleasure.
Some love, Chelsea. Okay, you're on a roll.
Trying to.
Yeah, you're doing really good. I mean, man, I can't talk as fast. Okay, Jennifer has a question about if she will reconcile with her oldest daughter.
Ooh, okay. Good question. So a couple of things. I want to validate first, Jennifer. I saw the number 3 and I counted. So I don't know if you have 3 kids, should have had 3 kids. If there's a connection to the 3rd of the month or March with your oldest daughter, I'm going to leave it until you validate that. But what I will go on to say, though, is that here's the thing. The two of you, I'm going to go as far as saying, I don't feel like this is the first time that you two have had to take time apart or to take an emotional break or a communication break. This isn't like a first time thing. At least that's how this feels to me. One of the other things that I'm picking up on is I do feel you guys will reconcile. However, caveat, it's not going to be in the timeline that you want. The reason for that is that I do feel that there's misunderstandings or miscommunications. I feel that there's assumptions that she's making about either you or what you think of her or, things like that. So I feel like ego's kind of getting in the way a little bit here. 4 kids born 3rd in March. Perfect. Okay. So I was like, I know there's a big connection with March or something. So great. Here's the thing is that you and her haven't always seen eye to eye. That's not a new thing, at least from what I'm seeing. So I do think that you guys will get back together and that you guys will reconcile. Like I said, it's a timing thing. I don't think that it's going to happen on your timeline. And to be quite honest, I'm also seeing my sign for maturity. I feel like she needs to either work through something, or there's a little bit of personal growth and a lesson that's embedded in this kind of miscommunication that she needs to be the one to kind of have that aha moment, that epiphany. And you need to be able to give her the space to be able to do that. Right. And I know it's hard because especially if there's like grandkids involved, things like that makes it even tougher. But I'm being told that this is one of those situations where if we push the matter, you're going to push her further. And so I still think it's okay to, send the occasional text like, hey, just checking in, love you, I'm always here for you, something like that where, you're reminding her that you love her and support her, but without being enabling and without being pushy, if that makes sense. But I do feel that you guys have a very good chance of reconciliation, but it's going to take some time.
That's hopeful. That's very hopeful, though. Yeah. Wow.
So hopefully that makes sense.
Hopefully that helped you. I think it did. Yes.
Perfect.
Yay. It's nice to know when you've hit it out of the ballpark.
And here's the thing. I tell people, and this isn't an ego thing, a no is an unrealized yes. I get no's constantly, and then I'll get like a perfect example. I had a reading one time where a husband and wife came to see me, and the wife, I was channeling her dad, and I said, how do you connect with either the mat or the mic? And I was like, but it is an M name. It is one syllable. And I said, and it's Mike, Matt, or Mark. I go, but it's somewhere in there. Just nope, no connection. Don't know, no connection. Next day I get a text from her, very embarrassed. She's like, I am so sorry. My dad's name is Mac.
Oh,
not Mike, not Matt, but Mac. I was like, Mac. Okay. Yeah. So that's the thing is that I can absolutely be wrong. I will never tell people that I'm always going to be right, but I also know that sometimes people need to reflect. So absolutely. So I'm glad that reading makes sense. Perfect.
Oh, good. Okay.
I always love the validation.
It's always nice to have validation. And who do we have next, Chelsea? Let's see who's coming up. We're trying to do you as you've been in the feed. Okay, Nita from Australia. Hello. She wants to know what's coming up in 2026.
You know what? I'm kind of curious. I wouldn't mind doing a live numerology reading to do one really quick. So Nita, if you don't mind telling me just your month of birth and the date of birth, I don't need the whole year in order to do a personal year reading, then I can get real specific if you don't mind. In the meantime, I want to look up somebody else's question while we wait for her to answer.
Okay, let's see.
Perfect. I love when they give me their life path. Yes. A move in the next year. 1024. Perfect. Okay. So let me come back. I'm going to start with Lynn real quick. Do I see a move? So next year, 3. Typically not. So here's the thing. Next year being a 1 year, yes, fresh starts, yes, new beginnings. So on one hand, I'm like, I could totally see it. I will say that in my life path reading that I'm doing later, next year, my life paths 1s, life path 3s, life path 5s, and life path 8s are going to be the ones that are most heavily influenced by next year. So I think there's a good shot of a move, but 2 things. 1, with you being a life path 3, you need to have a plan and you need to communicate. 3 is the number of creativity, but it's also the number of communication. So I worry that if we either don't express maybe exactly what we're looking for, or we're not very clear on our expectations of like what home or what city or state or whatever direction that we're going, then we're going to kind of spin in circles a little bit. So what I'm being told is communicate very clearly what you're looking for, and then we'll have a much better shot of this fresh start coming into fruition. However, I wouldn't be surprised. 3, 8. Okay. So 3 and 8, 11, 12, a 13, a 4. Yeah. 4 is about foundations. Sometimes 4s can also mean getting your houses in order. So if you have a house that you currently live in that maybe we need to make changes to, that we need to do any fixes to, that should be a big focus right now, sooner rather than later, if you're looking at moving as well, based on your birthday and your personal year that you've got going on there. So I think there's a good chance for a move. But like I said, I feel like there's, you haven't done your due diligence. I feel like there's some things we got to check off, some boxes first. So hopefully that makes sense.
Okay.
No house. Perfect.
Nice job. Hey,
less to deal with. If you don't have a house, that's a good thing. But but there's a good chance. But I can like express what you're looking for and then move forward with it, because 1 years are all about big changes and new opportunities. But I do feel that you may have to push this one along a little bit. So hopefully that makes sense.
Chelsea, I'm a little slow on the uptake. Do you figure out your life path when you add up the your name from your
that's your destiny chart? Number. So there's 7 numbers in a full numerology chart. And so what I tend to see is that in numerology, your life path is just your birthday. So that's why when I meet with folks on the fly, I can do a life path and a birthday number, but a full chart will be your life path, your destiny, your personality number, your soul number, your maturity number, and then your karmic number and birthday number. And so your destiny, your destiny, your soul, your mature, destiny, soul, and personality are based on your name. Your maturity number is your life path and your destiny number added. So there's all sorts of kind of things where I kind of cross paths and stuff. It's a lot.
Okay. So I'm going to back up the truck. When you say birth date, is that month, year, the whole kit and caboodle?
So day, month, in a full numerology chart, yes, it needs to be full date, month, and year. But if you're just doing someone's personal year, you only need their month and their day, and then you add that to, so next year being a 1 year numerology, then you just add a 1 to that number. So kind of going back to, let's see, Nita. So she was 1024, so 25, and then we add 1 to the 25, so that's 26, 2 and 6 is 8. So her personal year, next year, good number for finances, especially in a 1 year. So that means 1 year, next year, you're going to be able to have more of an income or improve your income. However, it's going to be from your work and your effort. So it's not like your boss is going to come to you and go, hey, you've been doing great. Here's a 10% raise. That's not what to expect. This is typically, right? Wouldn't we all? But no, when it comes to next year, your personal year is an 8. And so that's going to be very heavily influenced. So next year, if you're going to reach out for a new job, if you're going to pull in new money, it's going to be through your work, your effort, and your connections. So that's the good thing. So when I see 1 and 8 are the 2 business numbers in numerology, 8 is typically where it's more, you're the one who's responsible for the money. The 1 is more of like a leadership, taking charge, where you're the one pushing it. So those 2 energies combined is kind of what's eluding you. So just kind of be aware of your finances this year. There's a good chance for you to have extra money fall in your lap. But again, it's not going to be from that lotto ticket or Powerball. I know, I wish I had the winning numbers. Don't everyone start asking. I've been asking for years from Spirit, because I'll donate, right? I'll do readings for free the rest of my life. Just help me pay off my house, right? But no, so good year for you financially and career-wise, based on your numbers.
Very cool.
Hopefully that makes sense.
I can hardly wait till the end of the show. I want to hear about the numerology. Okay, my gosh. Okay, who do we have next?
Okay, I want to go back to Geraldine, because she asked for her brother. So I want to hop back, because we said I want to say, who do you want to talk with? So couple of things. So with brother, one of the things that I initially pulled on is that, would you understand where he would have a connection where he would take accountability for his passing, or he would take responsibility? So this would be either where choices or decisions that he would have made would have either impacted or led to him being in a wrong situation. I'm not necessarily sure if this feels like suicide, but I haven't heard back from you yet. But this would still be something where he would take some accountability, whether, again, wrong place, wrong time, certain choices or decisions that he made. The other thing too that he makes me feel like is that there would be a connection with the number 5. So either he's been gone 5 years, if he or you have a connection with the month of May, or with the 5th of a month, but I'm being pulled to that number. And so if it doesn't immediately connect, that's fine. We can see if he gives me more information on that as well. The other thing that he would allude to is that his passing does not feel fresh to me. Fresh is like 6 months or less. Now it could be, but I typically find fresh to me has a different feeling about it. One of the things that I'm kind of curious with him as well is that he would allude to, when it comes to his passing, I don't know if we don't know the whole story, because like he keeps trying to cover my mouth, and that can mean 2 things. It usually means we didn't get to say goodbye, or didn't get to say goodbye the way we wanted to, but I almost feel like this had a double meaning. Like either didn't get the opportunity to say goodbye, but also that there'd be either rumors or information that we don't know, or there's unanswered questions around his passing, right? Because sometimes we can have a situation pop up where maybe the body got moved and you're like, well, why was he here when we thought he was over here? But there's also something in connection with his passing where either there's unfinished business or to where unanswered questions. Yeah, I didn't think it was suicide. I have a very different sign for that. But there is something where he takes responsibility. So whether choices, decisions he made, something of that nature. Oh, yes, month of May has a connection. Perfect. I knew there was something there with that 5. So I just like to validate a couple quick things that I pick up on just to make sure I've got the right person. But your brother just wants to make sure that you know, he says there's lots of tributes that have been done and I hate to talk about that because that seems very blasé. Like, oh, yes, of course there's a tribute. But this is not like a celebration of life tribute. This either feels like we would have made a donation on his behalf. We would have started a charity on his behalf. We put a plaque up, something of that nature. And so, but he just makes me feel like there would have been effort that we would have put in for a tribute. And like I said, not a celebration of life or a funeral. To me, the word tribute is much more meaningful. And it's typically very public when I see the word tribute. So I'd be curious if you would be able to validate that as well. But either way, he does want to acknowledge that there are still people that do things for him in honor of him and to continue to embrace him in their life on a day-to-day basis. And whether that's wearing his favorite hat, maybe somebody carries his license in their purse or something like that, to where we have a small little token of him around us all the time. But he just wants to acknowledge that. And then he also makes me feel like, and I feel like there's 2 people. So I don't know if 2 people would have gotten tattoos for him, or we would know of 2 people that have plans, or maybe one person did and someone else is planning it. But there's also something with like 2 tattoos. And it could also be maybe one person got 2 tattoos, but I saw the number 2, but then there's connection to tattoos. So lots of things. Hopefully that makes sense. Or you can validate some of those things.
Chelsea, I want to check in with you. How are you doing? Because you're going a mile a minute. So yeah, I don't want you to burn out or anything.
No, this is a Monday night.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay. Nope.
Okay. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word. Do you know how to say that?
Labyrinthian criterion. That's how I would pronounce it.
Thank you. She wants to connect with her mother, a mother connection, Sheila. And thank you.
Okay, so real quick, I would love to understand, because one of the things that your mom showed me initially is when she passed. So sometimes when I see something where I see my sign for double role, meaning like if you and your mom, like she was your best friend, so that when she passed, you lost mother, but then we also lost best friend, right? Or maybe she was like, she owned the business that you worked for, so you lost mother and you lost manager or business entrepreneur or what have you. But she does make me feel like her passing would have represented almost like 2 different losses in your life. And so she has 2 tattoos for her dad, Geraldine. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Like, there's something there with 2 and tattoos. So great. Yeah. Awesome. He knows about him. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Back to Labyrinthian. Yeah, because I'll jump around. That's the crazy thing about the delay with the live is I'm like, oh gosh, I jump back and forth. So I don't mean to, but
keep up with you.
But I can barely keep up with myself. Let's be real. But no, to the point of with Sheila, I just feel like there would have been multiple roles in her life where it would have felt more significant. She was mother-in-law. Okay. You were 2 roles for her. Got it. Because I'm like, there's just something with the 2 roles and it's very important. Oh. Okay. So a couple of things. One of the things that she wants to bring up, and I'll be honest, is that even though I feel like you might be referring to caretaker, like leading up to her passing, I feel like this feels longer. Like you would have cared for her for a longer duration of time. And to me, longer is like 6 months plus. So she does allude to making me feel like she would have been not doing well or been struggling with pretty significant health issues for a good amount of time. The other thing too is that I don't know if she would have passed from cancer or would have had it, beat it, and then passed from something else. But I heard had cancer. And sometimes when I see that, it's more of like, we didn't die from it, but maybe we had it and beat it several years and then we died from pneumonia or, something else. 2 years caretaking. Yes. Cancer. Got it. Thank you. Yes. I just felt like there was this long connection with sickness. if you take anything from this reading, I know it is brief, but I will throw it out there, is that she does talk about that you still gave her every ounce of dignity that she could have ever wanted. And so even though I feel like she had lots of other things that she lost dignity, or where she had embarrassing moments and things of that nature, for her, she just wants to make sure that you know you gave her all of the humility and all of the love and respect that she could have ever wanted in the end. And I feel like this wasn't easy. This was a battle, and this was a big struggle for a long time. And so she, and she's even kind of going like, I know I was a pain in the butt, and not because she was trying to be a pain in the butt. It just was what it was with the circumstances. And so for her, she just wants to make sure that, you know, thank you for letting me pass with dignity and respect, because that was a really big thing for her. And so you gave her that meaningful love and connection that I think everyone should be so blessed to be able to have in the end, right? Because I do meet with people where they pass unexpectedly and it's a sad situation, or to where, you know, they felt like they were yelled at or something by their loved ones. You know, I hear about this kind of abuse all the time, and it's heartbreaking. And so she just makes me feel, because she keeps going like this, right? And this just means blessed. And so for her, she feels blessed at the way that you took care of her. And she says she'll never be able to thank you for that. And so please just know, because she also says that you question yourself, like, coulda, woulda, shoulda, should I have done more? Could I have done this? What have you? She's literally going, nope, checked off all the things that you could have on the list. So please don't ever, you know, second guess yourself or question if you could have, you know, done more. And I know everyone wants to be able to do that, but for her, she says, no, there was nothing else that you could have done. So please just take this message with peace, that you did everything you could do to make another human's exit out of this world as peaceful, happy, and as stress-free and as loved as possible. So you did everything you needed to, my dear.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to
ask regarding her son? Here's the thing is that I feel like I keep seeing my sign for like her son is either lost or doesn't know how to pick up the pieces. And so, and I almost feel like that is also a twofold statement, either like he can't pick up the pieces because of grief, but then I also feel like being able to move forward with life, struggling. So the thing is that he needs to be able to focus on one thing at a time. I almost feel like he's biting off more than he can chew, or he's not giving himself enough time to do like a thorough grieving job and a thorough job on life. And then a thorough, like he's completely scattered and unfocused. And so the advice that I would pass along is focus, like pick one thing and deal with it. And the thing is the focus doesn't mean I spend 3 years on grief and let everything else go by. It might mean today I focus on grief. Tomorrow I focus on getting a new job. Tomorrow I focus on my health, right? Every day we can kind of transition what we focus on, but he just needs to have the focus. I feel like every day he's just scattered. And so I think whatever you can do to kind of help keep him focused with like his attention on one thing, that's going to bring down his stress levels. But I also feel a little bit of his lack of focus goes back to the grief, because he doesn't know how to emote properly. And so I almost feel like he's making himself busy or trying to distract himself from the grieving process. And he has to be able to work through that, unfortunately.
Yeah, people do that. They want to distract because it's so painful.
Mm-hmm.
It's so painful. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
absolutely.
My goodness gracious. Okay.
So I think it's time for a big group reading. I'm glad that made sense. You're so welcome.
Are you talking about the numerology?
I think it's time to do some numerology, because I've had a lot of people I'm seeing where they're like, what's happening in 26? And I'm like, we're getting there. We'll get there in a second. So, see right there with Diana Banks, what's in it for 2026? Well, things go smoothly for me in nursing school. So perfect. So I think this is a really good transition. So let's talk about kind of what to expect in numerology for next year. So
yes.
Couple of things. So the first is, let's talk about kind of in general what a universal year means. Okay. So one of the things that I tell folks is that the universal year is more or less the flavor or the soundtrack that everyone is going to experience this year. Some people are naturally going to get hit harder in some years than others, maybe because of their life choices, free will, what have you. But we can still typically see what I call kind of like this overarching theme throughout the year. Now, next year, 2026, so if you add up all the digits of 2026, right, 20 plus 26 is 46, 4 and 6 is 10, 1 and 0 is 1. Next year, numerology is a 1 year. So this is the year of starting over the numerology cycle and fresh starts, clean slates, right? All of that stuff is kind of what we can expect. Now, with that said, as far as people who need to really pay attention next year, we'll get to that in a second, but I kind of want to talk about what everyone can expect in a 1 year. So when it comes to a clean slate, this can be maybe you had a rough breakup this year, right? This year was a big year, 2025, about endings, finalities, and conclusions. There's a lot of people out there right now who are probably like, God, I felt like I was just beat up this year, right? You had friends that were removed from your life. You lost relationships that you'd known for years. Maybe you lost your dog. You lost your job, right? 9 years, unfortunately, are big years for loss, right? However, I always tell people, kind of like I alluded to at the start of this show, was loss isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes we need to lose a friend because maybe they're not being of service to us. Maybe they have bad intentions for us, right? Same thing with spouses. Maybe we have a job that's just physically draining the life out of us that we need to leave to move on to better things, right? So that's what I tell people is that this year, a lot of loss is normal so that we can open up new doors and opportunities for next year, right? It also means we don't want to drag stuff. So I tell people this is a great year to pay off your debt, pay off little things so you're not dragging that into a year of like foundational new stuff, right? So 1 years are also really good. And this is, again, universal. So this applies to everyone. Planting seeds, okay? And so planting seeds or having a fresh foundation. Now, some people go, well, I have this brand new business idea and I'm going to get it off the ground next year. Okay, slow your roll. Sometimes the 1 year is about come up with your game plan, write it all out, and then execute the next year, or maybe execute 6 months into the year, right? January 1st doesn't mean, woo, my new business off the ground, going, right? Sometimes we need to plan. Sometimes we need a little bit of background, right? And so that's kind of what this is that planting seeds so that things can kind of come to fruition. So what I tell people is that if you have something that can come to fruition really quickly, focus on it, but don't be afraid to kind of plant seeds for things that might happen where we know it's not going to happen for 2 or 3 more years, or maybe for 5 years, right? I know right now I'm in the middle of working with some producers on a couple of different show ideas, right? And so one of them is in the execution stage. The other one's still very much in like the production and I'm still doing research for it phase, right? So I know right now I've got something that's hot and I've got irons in the fire, but I also know I've got something that I could see kind of coming to fruition maybe next year, but I'm going to plant the seeds for it this year. So that's where I tell folks, don't just get focused on, here's my goal for next month and the next 6 months. Don't be afraid to, sprinkle around some of those seeds like confetti and just start planting some stuff that's going to pop up down the road, right?
Good idea.
This is also a year for big action and decisiveness. This is not a year to go, well, should I do this, or this, or I have so many decisions. This is not about finding all your different options and weighing them out. This is about going through and getting rid of options so that we can make a decision and then move forward. Okay. So I tell folks when it comes to this universal year, this is about be decisive. This is not about him and hawing or, weighing out options, because the thing is if we spend this whole year weighing out options, you miss the opportunity to plant seeds. And 2 years, so 2027 will be a 2-year numerology. And that's all about relationships, dynamics, connections, right? To where if you're planting seeds now, so that's why with this other show I'm kind of working on in the background right now, I realized that I'm going to be planting seeds to probably make big connections that year to make things roll out then, right? So that's where I tell people just kind of be mindful of that. 1 years are also big catalyst years. So while this year, some people have felt kind of bullied and pushed around, we're like, God, I had so much change this year. This year is a big year for catalyst change, but it usually means new changes, right? So things that you are bringing in, things that you've been seeking or trying to pull into your orbit or manifest, right? As opposed to changes where you're losing something. So this is all about new growth, things of that nature, okay? But I usually tell folks, buckle up because we're coming out of the heels of a 9-year with a lot of loss, but you're gonna have a lot of new good stuff thrown at you now in the year 2026. Now, as far as the zodiac signs, pay attention. These are the ones who are going to get hit the hardest this year. Aries, Leo, and my Sagittarians, all my fire signs, right? You guys are all of my catalysts. Okay.
Not
You
me.
guys are all going to get hit really hard this year. Now, one of the things that I tell people is that all the fire signs, right? They are the catalysts. You guys are the ones that make stuff happen. You're the ones that light the fires. So in a 1 year, that's why you guys are going to get hit a little harder. So it doesn't mean that things are going to be bad for you this year. It just means that your ability to create something new and to plant seeds is going to be a little bit easier for you, but you're also going to be hit with a lot of opportunities, and you may have to make hard choices. You may get 2 really great job offers and go, God, like they both make the same money. Which one's going to fulfill me more? Which one gives me more time, right? Things of that nature. And so that's where I tell specifically my fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarians for next year, is that just to be aware, you may have a lot of options. And so be very discerning, but be decisive. Okay. As far as the numerology, life path, folks, okay? So the people who have a life path of 1, 3, 5, or 8, you guys are also going to have your buttons pushed this year, but it's in the form of communication, decisiveness, and also being creative and being bold. Okay. And so these numbers, that 3, 1 is the leadership number in numerology. 3 is the creative, kind of the innovative one. 5 is the number of freedom and independence. And 8 is the number of like entrepreneurial, business-minded leaders. So there's no wonder why these 4 big numbers are going to be hit by an influence that's kind of like, hey, fresh starts, be innovative, be decisive, make some goals for yourself, because these number life paths are typically more of the goal-oriented or more ambitious life path numbers. Now, I know some of you are out there going, well, how do I calculate my life path? Glad you asked. So you just take your birthday and you just add up all the numbers in your birthday until you come to a single digit. So for instance, if your birthday is January 2nd, 1960, you're going to add up the numbers 1 plus 2 plus 1960. So 1 and 2 is 3. Then you're going to add that to the number 1 in 1960. So that's 4. 4 and 9 is 13. 13 plus 6 is 19. 1 and 9 equals 10. 1. Okay. So then that means 1 and 0 equals 1. I'm a number person, always have been. So it's pretty quick for me to do. It was a very easy parlay for me into numerology because I love numbers. So let's say you were born January 2nd of 1960. That means that your personal year is going to be a 2 year because you're a life path 1, but the next year numerology is a 1. Okay. So just kind of throwing that out there so that if you do your birthday real quick and you add up all the digits and your number ends up being 1, 3, 5, or 8, just know that next year for you, you need to focus more on self-reliance and independence. But the other thing too, is that next year is going to be a big year for those numbers. So 1, 3, 5, and 8 life paths for financial stability, meaning that seize financial opportunities. But again, this will be from your hard work and your hustle and grind, as opposed to like something falling in your lap, like, the lottery or something of that nature. This is also for you guys, a year of new ideas and new ways of thinking. Be creative, think outside the box. If we keep doing what we did, we'll keep getting what we got, as the saying goes. And so that's kind of the other thing that I would encourage people in this life path with this year, is just to kind of be aware of that. And then the one last thing is kind of a universal year message for folks, is this is a year of removing limitations. And what I mean by that is sometimes the limitations, it's us, right? We're the ones saying, I can't do this. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't, right? That can be a limitation. Sometimes it can be a relationship, a boss, a situation that's limiting us from being able to reach our potential. So this is a year to kind of say, excuse me, limitations, step aside, right? And we're just going to move them out of the way so that we can be able to kind of move forward with planting these seeds and kind of creating the life that we're trying to desire. So that's kind of what I think we could expect to embrace or expect coming up in a 1 year for folks. Ooh, a soul urge master 22. Those are all sorts of good numbers. Love it. Sorry. The numerology nerd me knows exactly what that language means, but not to everybody else. But yeah, master numbers. So it's got the master teacher number and then also the master builder number. So you would be good at learning lessons, teaching lessons, but always knowing how to build a life for yourself. So that's great numbers to have in a chart for sure. So, but there you go. So there's kind of a great little numerology reading to give some people some hope, maybe some aspiration, maybe some motivation for next year. So There we go, folks.
It was wonderful. I was adding up my numbers while you were talking.
What are numbers? I can do them real quick.
Well, I got it. It's September 9th, 9/8/1955.
Okay, so 55. So 5 and 5 is 1 and 1 is 2. And you said your 9 and 9 is 18. So 20, 2, 3. So next year should be a 3 universal year for you if I did the math right.
I got a 1. 1950, September 8th, 1955.
Oh, September 8th. I'm sorry. I thought you said September 9th. Then no, you are correct. Yes. No, then you're correct. So there you go. Yeah. No. So that makes perfect sense.
Oh my gosh. Chelsea, you have been fabulous. Fabulous.
I try.
I know. We're winding down. And I think we should have you back on for numerology. But you had something else that you wanted to share too.
Lots of exciting things. So for those who've tuned in, myself and one of my very best friends, he's a very talented psychic medium that's here local. And him and I will be doing an online event on February 21st at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And so we're going to be doing a live gallery reading. And we have intention for this to be something as inexpensive as possible. So I have a feeling we're only going to be charging folks around $10 to jump in and have the opportunity to, much like this, be able to have the chance of having a reading, but also just being able to experience it, right? Like for me, sometimes some of the magic is seeing mediums work a room. And even if I don't get a message, seeing all the healing that can take place for other people just kind of reminds me that, yes, our loved ones are here and that there is life after life, right? So we'll have that event. We will be posting about that later. The week of spring break. So March 26th to the 28th, I will be at the Oregon Ghost Conference. So come see me. I'll be doing readings. I'll be teaching a class on how to connect and learning how to channel. I believe I'll be doing a speaking event as well. And then myself and JJ, the amazing medium, him and I will be the headliners this year. So we will be doing a group gallery reading to everyone who attends. And then I'm getting my spiritual school up and going. So my hope is by February, March, that I'm able to have some online classes available for folks. So lots of things to look forward to for this year. Lots of things in the hopper. So
wow, you got a lot going on, Chelsea. Really.
And for folks who are interested, right now I'm offering a promotion for $50 off any of my 1-hour readings. And so just use live LIVE 25 and you'll save $50 off any reading on my website, www.mediumchelsea.com.
Chelsea, you are such a giving person. You truly are.
I hope so. I'm sure trying to be.
Oh my God, you are. You're being of service to your essence. So that's beautiful. Seriously,
I'm sure I'm trying to. And, thank you.
Oh my God, and you got so much going on too. Where's the Ghost Conference going to be?
That's going to be in Seaside, Oregon. So
you guys got to go to that.
Yeah,
go to the Ghost Conference at Seaside. Hey. Yeah, definitely.
All sorts of stuff. There's always really great psychics and mediums there. I always have to wander off and have a reading somewhere by somebody because there's always such really great people, but there's also really great artisans and vendors, and there's other speakers and people who've like researchers, people who do haunting investigations there. Like there's something for everybody there. It's pretty cool. So I'm glad to be a part of this. This will be my 3rd year. What was that?
How many days is it? Is a weekend?
It's 3 days. So it's all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Wow, you're going to be cooking.
Yep.
You're going to be.
Sure will be.
All right. Well, Chelsea, don't take off until we can kind of finish up. Okay. But everybody, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed Chelsea. I'm pretty sure you did. She's pretty spectacular. And I just want to thank you for joining us and experiencing Chelsea because she is one of a kind.
Thank you all.
You're welcome, honey. And thank you so much.
Thanks for the invite. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.